The biggest mistake that traders make is that they misattribute skills for luck and they misassess the probability levels. My name is David Jaffe from beststockstrategy.com. You can go to beststockstrategy.com, enter in your email, and receive $400 worth of free training. Also, I provide a Trade Alerts product. To get back to the video, the biggest mistake that I see traders make is that they misassign probability levels and they misattribute skills to luck. Trading is actually very easy. I make the same trade. All I do is I have a watch list of about 10 stocks and I only have trades on around 4 or 5 securities at any one time. That's it. And I have positions on in 5 securities. So I watch those 5 securities, and when it falls to the low end of the range, I sell a naked put on that security. Sometimes if it's an expensive stock like Amazon, I'll sell a vertical credit spread. That's pretty much it. Trading is very easy. I make all the trades from my phone and it only takes me about 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. But one of the problems is that people overcomplicate things. And what they do, and I see this on Facebook because I'm a member of the Robinhood group, is they misattribute luck for skills. So I see people who will make money by buying a call option on Amazon, and then they'll take a screenshot, they'll post it to the group, and then they'll expect validation and adulation from the other people in that group. But in my opinion, this is very negative reinforcement, because whether that person makes money or loses money on that trade, it is an incredibly poor choice to actually make that trade. And actually making that trade is going to lose them money in the future, because they're going to win on that trade maybe 3 out of 10 times, and then they're going to think that they made money because of some specific circumstances, which are completely luck, right? Because even if you win on that trade 3 out of 10 times, then that's the statistical outcome, and you're not really going to deviate from that whether you make that trade 100 times or 1,000 times. So, but they're going to think, and they're going to misattribute some chart pattern or some market condition, and they think that that's going to increase their odds and make that trade profitable 6 out of 10 times instead of 3 out of 10 times. So they're going to try to replicate those winners and increase the odds of those winners, and then they're going to keep throwing money at a trade that is worse than the odds of a coin flip. So the times that they make money, the 3 out of 10 times that that trade makes them money, they're going to misattribute it for skill, when the reality is that they made money simply based upon the expected probability from that trade. They're going to make money on that trade probably 3 out of 10 times or 35 times out of 100, 30 or 35%. But they think that when they make money on that trade, then it's skill, when in reality, it's just the expected probability. The reality is you want to put all the odds in your favor, and you don't want to misattribute things. The other thing where just people in general are very bad at attributing expected probabilities and predicting like how likely something is to happen. For example, a lot of people are spending $200,000 on a college degree, and then they get out and their first job is working in retail or working in real estate, which are jobs that they don't even need a high school degree for, or much less a college degree. So they spend $150,000, $200,000 to get a degree, and then their first job or their second job out of college or their eventual career ends up to be something which is completely different from what they majored in college. And it turns out that they didn't even need to go to college. They didn't even need to spend that $200,000 and accrue that debt at 5% annually. And, in my opinion, much more importantly, sacrifice those 4 years that they gave up when they could have been learning monetizable skills, because what they did when entering college is they misattributed how beneficial college would be to their life. Another thing which I think people are very bad at is they will eat really shitty food, and they'll misassign the probabilities of how detrimental and how harmful the intake of that food actually is to their health. So they'll eat food and then they won't notice the effects immediately, so therefore they'll forget about it. But what they don't realize is that the harmful effects of that trashy and garbage food are cumulative over nature, over time. It's very pernicious. And over time, when you eat that food, it might not have an effect on you immediately, but you might feel that effect from that burger you ate 5 days ago, or like you might feel the effects next month when it deregulates like your insulin levels, or it increases the number of the amount of visceral fat that you have, or it decreases your body's uptake of dopamine or things like that. I see this happen all the time with people who take SSRIs and antipsychotic and other medications, where they take these medications from the doctor because it was prescribed to them, and they misassign the probability that they think that it's going to increase their feelings of well-being, and they end up with like hormonal deficiencies. They end up with decreased stress, sex drives. They end up with increased brain fog, or the inability to remember things or to speak clearly, or increased thoughts of suicide. So what they're doing is they're misattributing the probability and the expected outcome of their behaviors. And that's really what separates successful people from unsuccessful people. Sometimes successful people, they make decisions which might feel a little bit off, but if the expected probability turns out to be something that they should engage in, then they will take that action and actually do it, and because the expected probability is positive. Whereas unsuccessful people, they are not as accurate in making judgments and assigning probabilities to expected outcomes, and then that's why they make poor decisions. This goes in everything from like dating to choosing your job, etc. Like if you meet someone and they act like a jerk, or they disrespect a waiter, and they make a comment and then you just disregard it and you think that things are going to get better, whereas someone who is better at assigning probabilities, they're not just going to hope that that situation improves. Instead, they're going to take it as a warning sign and decrease the assessment that this person is a viable partner and a viable mate, and therefore they're going to not continue the relationship with that person. So these are just examples that I'm making up, but the point is that a major component of success, whether you're successful in life or whether you're successful as a trader, is just assigning more accurate probabilities and not misattributing things that are based upon probability to your individual skill level. Like I'm sure that a lot of people have heard that 70 to 80% of the people think that they're above average, that they're an above average driver. People are seeking validation, they're not necessarily seeking truth. So one thing that you can do to improve your overall life is just make sure that you ask yourself, is this outcome based upon luck, or is this outcome based upon skill? And the other thing that you can try to do is try to assign more accurate probabilities for an expected outcome. And if something has a very low probability of being successful, but the payoff is very high, and if it doesn't work out, the downside is extremely limited, then it makes a lot of sense for you to move forward and try that new behavior or engage in that project, as opposed to something that might have a higher expected payout, but where if it doesn't work out, then the downside is very poor. So once again, this is David Jaffe. Remember, the main takeaway from this video is that you want to make sure that you're not misassigning probabilities and you're not misattributing things as skill when in reality they're just luck. And that's the biggest thing that I see that's inhibiting people from being successful traders. You can go to beststockstrategy.com and you can enter in your email and receive $400 worth of free training. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you leave a comment below, I'd be happy to answer it. I answer all comments. And thank you for your attention. I appreciate you. I'm trying to be of service. And that's actually a very selfish thing, because by being of service to you, it makes me feel better about myself. Thanks again.